Well, I've been looking forward to solving this one for quite a while. Having covered my electronics Nano Workshop in my previous video, I thought I'd cover my Nano Paint Zone. This is 1 metre of tightly designed space to contain all my painting hobbies. It's packed with so many neat little features designed to tackle every little niggle that I've ever had. But before I give you the full tour and show you some secrets, to properly understand how I've designed this to let me paint, we need to understand why we don't. Painting miniatures, models and everything else is a peculiarly high friction task. It shouldn't be, but it is. People constantly call out all the reasons that they have a sea of grey unpainted models on their shelves, or that they can never find the right coloured paint when they need it, or that specific brush, or there's just too much clutter that sprawls across their desk. So I did the research. I looked at my own processes, read online what other people experience. Here's a quick summary of the 7 horsemen of the paintopolis, or why I never end up actually painting. 1. Setup and finishing friction. The effort of getting everything out, finding the right paints, brushes and all the rest just adds too much friction. Likewise, the putting it away, clearing the table that I've been painting on, well, it just means that I either leave things and start losing bottles of paint and brushes, or I just don't bother. If I get a spare 20 minutes and it takes 10 minutes to set up and then 10 minutes to pack up, well, then nothing is going to happen. Surface creep. The moment you put something completely innocent on a work surface without a strict location, mess instantly sprawls and takes over the desk. You think, it's perfectly reasonable to put a light there, or I'll just put that box of gloves down there for a minute. But no, what you've just done is planted a tiny seed of chaos, which then spreads everywhere. Spills and mess. Painting is inherently messy. So I've often found that if grabbing a piece of kitchen towel or gloves or drying brushes requires any effort, then, well, I just don't. This doesn't just make things a mess, it also ruins things more permanently. So that lovely, expensive sable brush that you had starts looking like an afro. Don't get me wrong, I love an afro, but not for painting with. Organisation and finding things. Unless every item has a home, then complete mess will be the answer. Not just that, but all these organisers and solutions out there never seem to fit my paint bottles, or I appear to be the only person on earth with a brush that doesn't quite fit. So any solution needs to be something that I could tailor to both my precise needs now, but also adapt instantly to any needs in the future. Another one that I suffered from particularly is that this is one of those hobbies where the tools make a difference. Really good brushes are really good, but as always, that also means they're not cheap. The ability to properly and easily store, dry and maintain my brushes, both during and after use, was key for me. Lighting. Again, lighting is a huge part of this. There's nothing worse than thinking you've got a perfect skin tone finished until you then look at it under a different light and it looks washed out or like a permatan. But the real challenge was I wanted to ensure that I could light things really well, but without covering half of my desk in the big lighting rigs that you see in lots of examples. Hobby versus life. I also wanted to tackle the challenge of time conflicts. Quite often there's a tension where you want to finish a paint, but then you also want to spend time with your family. Often this is just about being with them whilst they watch a film or something. But I know lots of people have this challenge of their paint areas being away from the rest of the house. So you're torn between spending an hour in a room painting or spending it with your family. All of the off-the-shelf options I looked at solved some, but not all of these challenges. Plus, they were inevitably not designed to evolve to accommodate my changing needs, so would break the moment I bought more paints or an extra brush set or whatever else. So what I needed was a fully modular, free-to-print, endlessly adaptable, portable solution that would allow thousands of variations and that was contained within 1 metre of space. So here's what I ended up with.
Wash it brown and call it lore. Add some rust and maybe more. A little grime hides 1,000 crimes. The eyes are wonky, but so is war. Wash it brown and call it lore. I dipped the whole thing and called it grimdark. If the face looks haunted, that's character work, that's smear. Ancient battlefield dust, and the shield tells a story mostly of fingerprints. I don't make errors, I make weathering. I'm building worlds with accidental sludge. If in doubt, add rust, then stand back proudly and refuse to judge. Wash it brown and call it lore. Add some.
Okay, so the whole system is based on OpenGrid for the walls and Gridfinity for the surfaces. As I've said in many of my other videos, this makes it infinitely modular and immediately hooks me into the biggest and best 3D printed organisational systems on the planet. If you haven't seen these before, just search MakerWorld for Gridfinity and you'll see what I mean. There is no competition. I then created a whole load of custom 3D prints that are perfectly tailored to painting. Some of these are very subtle, but they make a big difference. Let me show you as I talk. These racks hold my paint bottles. They are perfectly sized for what I need, but they also tilt downwards for easier viewing on the wall. What I love about these is that if I bring them down to my painting area, then I can just flip them around and suddenly they're helpfully tilted upwards for the desk. But this is an example where you can solve all these silly quirks. Like these paint bottles have the exact name of the paint right at the bottom of the bottle, which is annoying if you put them in any sort of storage pot. So I've made this little cutout so that you can still see this. In this bit, I've got the cleaning area. Everything I need to fix the mistakes within instant reach of my arm. I've made this custom kitchen roll holder and lots of other bits to just make it so easy that it's harder not to clean up. Then brushes. I've actually tracked the whole life cycle of my brush use. So down here on the desk, I've got a place for all of my common brushes. I've also got a spot to store brushes in use as I flip between them. And check out the integrated drip trays here too. Then up here, I've got drying clips for holding brushes after I've finished using them. This keeps them nicely vertical as they dry, so it keeps them perfectly straight. Again, drip trays built in. I've got a cutting and drilling space here, and I love these dinky drills and drivers for polishing and sanding and drilling and everything else, so having these handy is always useful. I've just put them on these tiny hooks to keep it nice and compact. Then drying. The whole modular Gridfinity OpenGrid system allows pretty endless reconfiguration. But something else I realised, there's all this space under my desk which is used when I'm painting for my legs. But when I've finished painting and everything's drying, then it's just dead space. So I've actually created a drying rack here with OpenGrid so that I can click in loads of options to hold pieces as I let them dry, maximising every single inch of space. Putting this together, it means the whole desk is therefore set up to transform between different modes and uses instantly. If I'm painting traditionally, then I can set it up to be perfectly tailored for that. Then if I'm airbrushing, then there's a hidden shelf under here that holds my compressor, and I can set up the booth in 60 seconds and I'm away. What about the point about watching a movie with the kids versus painting away in here? Well, that's where my little maker tray comes in. It's very simple actually. An acrylic tray that I've cut. You could use wood, plywood, anything you like. And I've fixed my Gridfinity grids and my mat to it. Suddenly, this not only lets me instantly rearrange to suit my paint project, but I can take it wherever I want. Paint in front of the telly or in the garden on a nice day. And because it's not just an ordinary tray but has the Gridfinity grids built in, this keeps everything nicely secure as I'm transporting it around. And if you want it to be even more secure, you can make magnetic versions of Gridfinity. But I found standard Gridfinity works a treat for me. And this is not just useful for painting. I can use this for any hobby. It could be sewing, electronics, whatever you want. I've actually got a little app I built that Patreons are helping to test out that lets you export the SVG cut patterns for the base, gives you the right Gridfinity grids, and lets you play around with the layouts. Oh, and of course, pointlessly builds a cinematic montage of your finished build. Well, you've got to know what your maker tray would look like in space. There's loads of other custom Gridfinity and OpenGrid items that I've made. So as always, I'll upload everything so that you can pinch whatever you like for free. I'll also add a section to my site that walks through the maker tray and all the bits that you need so that you can make your own. But that's it. I've now got a fully modular paint zone, taking just 1 metre of space and tackling all those little niggles that have bugged me for years. And I have to say, it was an absolute pleasure to use my nice new organised space to add the finishing touch. I hope this helps give you a few ideas, and with a 3D printed custom painted sign mounted, the Nano Paint Zone is ready to rock. Hwyl fawr pawb.
The primer was smooth, the brush was clean, then chaos entered the painting scene. That's not a smudge, that's battlefield trauma, and that's no mistake, it's narrative depth. Wash it brown and call it lore. Add some rust and maybe more. A little grime hides 1,000 crimes. The eyes are wonky, but so is war. Wash it brown and call it lore. I dipped the whole thing and called it grimdark. If the face looks haunted, that's character work, that's smear. Ancient battlefield dust, and the shield tells a story mostly of fingerprints. I don't make errors, I make weathering. I'm building worlds with accidental sludge. If in doubt, add rust, then stand back proudly and refuse to judge. Wash it brown and call it lore. Add some rust and maybe more. A little grime hides 1,000 crimes. The eyes are wonky, but so is war. Wash it brown and call it lore. Till I gave it a pass. Now every blob is emotionally vast. Is it skill? Is it panic? Who can say? It looks more ancient this way. Wash it brown and call it law. No one knows what came before. A little grime hides 1,000 crimes, and the eyes are wonky, but so is war. Wash it brown and call it law. Put it the shelf once more.